The Hangout is live, and this is quite a unusual, to say the least, situation. I'm with my co-host MJ Khan. Say hi, MJ.
This is very weird, but hello, everyone. I think that Dylan just did a great introduction, even though I can't hear him. But yes, I am happy to be here.
It is a situation that I don't know exactly what the problem is, but with some a little Wakandan know-how, we've decided to do it through the chat. Now, I can hear MJ. He can't hear me. So he doesn't know what we're discussing, but we have the chat up, so we'll send some messages back and forth. So if you see us, typing at the computer, stuff like that, we're sending chats back and forth. We're here today to talk about Black Panther, the movie, any other things as well. And that might be it because of these technical difficulties. I was going to do some other comic book stuff, but this might take the whole show, so we'll see. Warning ahead, spoilers will be discussed. So let's see here.
Now, I could make out some of that. So I know that you were saying spoilers in Black Panther, so we are going to be talking it, and yes, we will spoil it. So I can make that out. I can read lips a little bit. So, you know what? I think before we do that, I just want to know, are you happy with the Super Bowl outcome?
That's a good question. Actually, yes. Yes, I am. I am very happy with it. I do hate the Patriots, yes, and I don't like the Eagles, but it's the Eagles beat the Patriots. I hate the Patriots more than I hate the Eagles. That being said, it was a great game.
Yes, I am happy with the Super Bowl outcome. It was a good game. I was actually surprised. It was a very good game. And I'll admit, I was holding my breath at that last play because I fully expected Rob Gronkowski to come down with that ball in the end zone. But it was a very good game. That's what I was hoping for. I'm happy with the outcome, and I'm happy for Philadelphia. They've hung in there all season, so you know what? Good for them. Very happy for their quarterback. So
it goes to show you that anybody can win a Super Bowl, a backup quarterback, and not so great quarterback. And in this case, Nick Foles, quarterback for the Eagles, played out of his mind, and it was great. And to be fair, Brady has always played good. So good game on both ends.
Good.
Let me type something here to you. Let's talk. Sorry about this. I'll tell you what I'm typing to MJ. I'm saying. So first, let's talk about.
Dylan knows typing and talking at the same time.
Stuff before the movie. Stuff going on now, i.e. box office and what else much do they had? And other Black Panther stories. That's probably not going to make any sense. No, I'm going to delete that. I got to delete that. Delete. Okay. So, first, box office. All right, so
okay, box office first. I just saw the most recent projections. I guess they're projecting it to go over 215 million for the long weekend, which would be awesome if that happens. I don't know. I think that it's one of those things where it's tracking up every time they do the projections. They keep going up with it. It seems to be selling out everywhere. I know I saw it in a theater that was, if they had standing room, there would have been people in there standing because it was absolutely packed. The entire theater was mobbed with people waiting to get in. I heard there's a theater in Atlanta, an AMC, that's showing it 83 times a day, and it's still selling out. Every single one. So, that's great. I mean, this says a lot for the movie-going audience, and hopefully Marvel will listen to what it's saying.
They're saying 233 now, but we'll see. Yeah, exactly. I went.
Okay, 233. Wow.
I went at
That's getting up there to Avengers 2 territory.
yes. I went at I went at 9:30 in Morn, and it was packed. So
Yes. Yes.
So it is.
I believe it, and I think it's one of those where people are going to make repeat visits to it, so it's going to keep going. Everybody's going to make at least see it another couple of times in the theaters. At least I will. I mean, it was just such a visual movie. I'm like, you have to see it on a really good screen on a big screen.
Agreed. Dawn and the family are going to go see it next week. Yeah, this is weird. So
oh, good.
Oh yeah. They also said it was the highest grossing movie of all time at 33 AMC theaters. So that's fairly impressive. They didn't say which ones, but the fact is at 33 AMC theaters. See, I got to type while I'm talking as well. That is quite
highest grossing. I mean, this has reinvigorated the entire genre. Everybody who said there was fatigue out there from comic book movies and, it was starting to slow down. Well, there's your answer. It's not slowing down. It's like, not at all.
Yeah. There's also, and it keeps building, A+ on Cinema Score. Where are you? Plus A. I'll just type it out. A+ on Cinema Score. So that's good.
Yes, A+.
Yeah.
And that's even with. I'm sure you heard about the groups on Facebook that they shut down that were trying to organize so that they could go and blast it on Rotten Tomatoes and give it 1 star on its opening night. And then Twitter, found all these people that were going through posting fake pictures of them saying that they were beaten up at the theaters and stuff. It's ridiculous. But you know what? I'm glad to see that it has not had one negative iota of impact on this film. I mean, this film is a massive juggernaut.
Yes, it is. And let me see if you're real quick. I'm going to tell a story now that I read on Twitter, and I'm just going to give it here to MJ. There was a picture of 2 kids who wanted to see the movie, and they did the old put one on top of the other. 2 kids who wanted to see the movie and disguised themselves as a grown-up. So it's one of the things where you put one on your shoulder, and they put a big trench coat on, and it looked ridiculous. It looks ridiculous. As one called Road Up. Boom. So I found that pretty funny. There was a picture.
I saw that. Yeah, it's not like they fooled anybody, but yeah, it was funny to see.
Absolutely great. Oh, and more impact. More impact at the NBA All-Star game. NBA All-Star game. Victor Oladipo. I don't know basketball, so Victor Oladipo wore a Black Panther mask. The Black Panther mask for the slam dunk contest that was given to him by Chadwick Boseman. That's kind of interesting as well. Slam dunk contest that was given to him by Chadwick. Hope you can read that. Yeah, that's good enough. So that was kind of continuing the trend of a really impactful situation.
Yes, I saw that dunk. The dunk didn't do justice to that mask, I don't think. But just the fact that he gave it to him, I'm like, that's the real thing. I was like so excited though. I'm like, oh my God, but yeah, and he should have had a better dunk with it. But yeah. You
It
know, and it
happened.
takes something to liven up that because again, the dunk contest, how many times it's been there, done that. But yeah, it was good to see Chadwick sitting there and giving that mask. I was like, oh, the real thing. If I was him, I would be like, oh, can I keep it? But so,
So let me see. Did I get everything there? Yep, 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 yep. Anything else? Okay. All right. I think we talked about enough about that. Now it is time to talk the film. Yay!
yes, indeed. First thing I would say, visually, it was spectacular. I'm hoping that the Academy will finally give out an award because if this doesn't win Best Costume, Best Visual Design, whatever those fields are, then they're completely biased. And I'm wondering if they're going to have the gall to say, you know what, no to this film because I can't imagine something coming along for the rest of the year that's going to outdo that in the visuals department. I don't want sound or best edit, sound, anything like that. No, they need to go with the visuals and have best costume, best makeup, whatever it is. But I really do think that this film hit all of those boxes with whatever it is, the criteria that they have to, check mark to give it an Oscar. But it really did deserve that.
Totally agree on that end. I hope it does. I hope it gets costume. Hope it gets costume and set design because they built a world. I mean, they built this incredible world, and just being with just visual everything, just the characters, the history,
yes.
the costumes, the sets, the technology, the idea of how you're hiding. It was literally like it was basically Lord of the Rings. I mean, it was like Lord of the Rings. It was like Lord of the Rings in world building, and that's what works.
I think that it was, just a world that we haven't seen before too. I mean, everybody has seen New York. Everybody has seen, the places where, this happens. Asgard, okay, yeah, they do a great job with that. But this was a completely new setting. It was completely foreign to everyone because, I don't think a lot of people are even familiar or have seen the world of Wakanda in the Black Panther comics. So, the fact that, they took this amazing technologically advanced, society and hid it in the African wilderness like that, and just like the holographic effects, but the technology, the advancement, and just the sheer joy of it. I really do think that it went a long way with advancing what the expectation should be when it comes to these films moving forward. I mean, this was almost like a pivotal movie in that the next MCU movies coming up, that they've got a lot to live up to now, so they've got to step their game up too.
And they built amazing characters. I agree with that. Everyone had a specific personality from the 5 different tribes. I think it was 5. Yeah, 5 tribes, right? 5 tribes, right?
Yes, 5
Yeah.
tribes. The 4 that lived together, and then the one that lived up in the mountain that was like, okay, you know what? Nope. I don't want anything to do with you guys, but we're going to come down and challenge for this right to rule here. So,
what's interesting about that is that's a Marvel character by the name of Man-Ape. Mabuko was Man-Ape. About that was it was Man-Ape. Mbuku was Mbuku was and he's actually Man-Ape, which is kind of racist to be honest, but he was one of Black Panther's bad guys, but they flipped the switch on it and made him more of a good guy, which was great. I like that.
Yeah, no, I really liked his character as well. And it was exactly the way that it's portrayed. He's powerful. He leads his own tribe. And I like the fact that, I know we're kind of jumping around here, but when they had the combat for rule that, T'Challa was like, okay, you know what? Your people need you. If I kill you here, which I could, that's not going to solve anything. One thing, you've moved your tribe up into the mountains, but the other thing is someone needs to lead them. Your people need you. My people need me. Don't make me kill you. And so I think that, just the fact that obviously he's not afraid to kill someone. He knows he's going to do what he has to do. But the fact that he does show that compassion, that's what ruling is supposed to be about. He's not ruling anybody through fear. You could tell the people in the other tribes loved him. They obviously loved his father. They had great respect for this man. And it was good to see him, earning that, not just through fear, but just through the way that he handled himself every day.
Right. And then because of that, we get the actual conflict, which was his dad was not as great as everybody thought he was. Conflict. His dad was not as great as everyone thought. So, because the main motivation for the main bad guy,
yes.
Eric Killmonger, was the fact that he's basically T'Challa's cousin, because T'Challa's dad, he found out that his brother had been stealing, vibranium and selling it to people. And when he came to, take it back, we discover later on that he ended up killing his brother. And his brother had a illegitimate son with an American woman. So that's the essence of Eric Killmonger's character and why he's pissed off. And I want to get MJ's take.
I guess one of the things that I didn't get was his father had to have known that his brother had a child there. I don't know why he left him there. I guess it's because he's like, okay, he's not part of, our country, but he really was. And he had to have known that that child was there. So to me, everything that happened to Killmonger that he became after that was completely understandable. He literally, his father was killed and he was abandoned. And that was it. You're on your own, kid. Do whatever you have to take care of yourself. And that's the way that he grew up, with one guiding thought, which was, I need to get back to Wakanda because I'm taking my place on the throne there. And, if I got to kill half the country to get to it, then that's what he's going to do. And, he killed a lot of people.
Yeah, he did. Agreed. I think Black Panther's...
I think that Eric Killmonger is probably one of the best villains the MCU has come up with, because he was relatable. He was charismatic. Michael B. Jordan just knocked it out of the park with that character. I hate the fact that he ended the way that he did, because I would have loved to seen him come back. But at the same time, that is honestly the way that it should have ended. The fact that he said that he would rather be dead than living in a cage, it was like, you know what? That was so powerful. So, I believe that that's how it should have ended. But yeah, his character was great, though. Just the little one-lines that he made. And, just from the minute he showed up on the screen in the museum, you were just like, he just had this commanding presence. Chadwick Boseman was great, but I don't know. I just think Michael B. Jordan really just kind of made that film. So I loved his presence.
I agree. Agreed on that. To me, what's interesting about that is, even though he had every reason to be angry, it's still, he was still able to be evil. Let me just write this down. Still had every reason to be evil. I guess that doesn't make much sense. Does it make much sense to you?
Yep, every reason. And yeah, he was evil, but there were worse people I've seen. So, he was evil, but again, I think it goes back to, you understand why. Not that I could ever justify what he wanted, but he wasn't driven by some weird, who knows what. You understood what he was going for and the way that he thought that he had to get it. So again, I think it all comes back to making a believable character, which in a comic book movie is hard to do. But he was very believable.
Okay, now do you think Now, do you think that if Eric was taken as a child to Wakanda, he would be closer to how T'Challa was?
You know what? I think that he would, because if you think about it, what does, and I don't mean that, boys and girls are different. What does every little boy want? He just wants to, all he had known was his father. Suddenly that's taken away from him. God knows how he was raised on the streets there. So I think if he were taken back to Wakanda and, okay, yes, your father's dead. We're going to have to deal with that. But let him be raised the way that T'Challa was. I just think that he would have turned out, a little differently. He wouldn't have gotten into that circle where he met, who knows what he was exposed to as a black operative, and Claw and all these other random government people. And if the CIA had him, he was one of them, and they had him on his watch list. I don't understand how he did so much, or, the guy that was with them recognized him. He's like, no, he's one of ours. Well, what did they do? Just give him free reign to go kill people? Because every time he killed someone, he got one of those tattooed, things on him. Well, he was covered in them. I'm like, who is he killing?
And maybe that's why T'Challa's dad left him, because he wanted his son to be king, which is, which is human.
But also, though, if he were taken to Wakanda, he could have turned out worse, because he could have harbored that resentment his entire life of what T'Challa's father did, and hated all of them. And then having access to Wakanda's resources from the inside, he could have done a lot more damage. So, I don't know.
I don't know if you read that or not.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was. So I think that's the main reason why T'Challa's dad left it, and you need to have that scenario where T'Challa's dad, has that weakness. You can't have it be a perfect thing, because then you don't have a story. So that's good. Let me see. Let's move on to the next one. Favorite character besides Killmonger?
Well, I guess I would have to take out Black Panther, because, of course, he's going to be a favorite. But you know what? His sister just slayed me. I just thought she was like so hilarious, and so their relationship was so believable. That kidding back and forth and everything. She was funny. She stole scenes every time she was in there. But let's see. I think the captain of the general, the captain of the guard, she just really had this presence. I mean, whenever she was on there, just the way that she carried herself, and when she told him, if he touches you again, I'm going to pin him to this desk over there. It was just little things like that, and then the action sequences that she was in, the deal on the car with, her vibranium spear. Yeah, no, I loved her character. So she was very strong. Yes, Michelle. It's like, that's why she wasn't on Walking Dead, and I'm like, I'm fine with that. I'm like, you know what? Leave that show and go do more of this. So.
Exactly. Yeah, they denied to play. I think it was Okoye, who was the general, and she was just fantastic. Just the wig and.
The wig. Just when she walked out, and she's like, "Oh, how long do I have to keep this thing on?" It's all crooked on her head and everything. So.
I like. Yeah. I agree with T'Challa's sister, and Michonne, but I also liked Martin Freeman's character as well. Your thoughts? Then I'll give mine. This is fun. I love having this little back and forth through the group chat.
Martin Freeman's character. Um, I liked his character because, you know, he wasn't there for comic relief. He actually added a lot to it. Um, and the fact that he had like a larger part at the end of it, I thought that was really great. I'm glad that they let him into Wakanda. The fact that he was willing to sacrifice himself, you know, to take a bullet for Lupita's character, I thought that said a lot for him. And it was still funny that Jones was like, well, he made that choice, so we still leave him here. But you know, they didn't. They went ahead and saved him. I was surprised at how much I liked his character. You know, not that I wasn't expecting that I would. And honestly, I'd almost forgotten that they met back in, I guess it was in the Civil War.
Civil War,
you know,
yes.
I completely forgotten that until I saw him again. I'm like, oh yeah, he was the agent there. That, you know, when he said that I'll tell everybody you're running around in a bulletproof cat suit. And then I guess I got confused too because I didn't realize that not everyone knew about Wakanda. You know, when he was thinking that it was still just the nation of farmers and everything before he got there. So I had to really rethink that and like, okay, yeah, they still haven't actually come out to everybody yet. Yes, people have seen the Black Panther in action, but they don't know where he's from, what he is, and, you know, who his people are. So I guess that was a little confusing at first, but then I'm like, you know, got past that part.
I agree. And, you know, Wakanda is now unmasked. And that was in one of the post-credit scenes. So now,
yes.
and that's like the point of the movie was to bring about the point of the movie to me was change. T'Challa was the new king. And he is told by others, including Killmonger, that he needed to assist the world with their tech. Sets up Avengers 3. Avengers 3 pretty good. All right, so just because now Wakanda's been unmasked, so now they're out there going to help everybody as well, and you see that at the end of the film.
Yes, I think that was a great setup for Avengers 3. I think one of the things that made this movie work is that, you know, and you may be seeing it differently, but it's not only was it a comic book movie, but it was also a really great, a very strong, like a family drama. You know, it was like a situational drama that wasn't overreacted. It kind of made you think, okay, you know what, these are situations that families find themselves in. And it was set pieced with a lot of action. And yes, he is a character that's in the Avengers, but I really do think that at the heart of it, it was about his family and the choices that he made to keep that family. And then the risk that he was willing to take by saying, you know what, it's time that our family steps out into the limelight and shows the world what we are, who we are to help them, but we're still a family. And then, you know, that to me is what made this movie what it was. But the action was insane too. So.
And honestly, Killmonger was the reason they finally decided to reveal themselves to the world, because now they control what is given to the world, and that's cool. And yeah, so the action sequence were amazing. They were really good. And I agree with you. I agree that it's not just about family. It's not just about family. It is about family, but it's not just a superhero comic. It is about family. The action was, you know, pretty good, but it wasn't the main part of it. And I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. With you about the family aspect. All right, so see what else you want to talk about. Let me see. Hmm. All right. All right. Let's talk Andy Circus. Claw.
Good old Claw. I'm glad that they updated his arm, because if he had had that little sound cannon that he had in the comic books, I would have been a little bit disappointed. So, the fact that it was, just this, it split apart. It looked like, a really cool cybernetic, enhancement with the destructive cannons and everything. I thought that was great. I loved his character. Honestly, I was surprised that they killed him off. Because I think that he was doing such a good job, not only tying the movies together by being, this cutthroat, just weapons dealer that dealed in vibranium and whatever else he could get his hands on, but he knew Wakanda, obviously. So I think that they, could have used him, and I wouldn't mind seeing him in another movie, just because he was so irredeemable. But the fact that he, knew how to deal these arms, and he knew what he wanted, and he was on the black market, working with the CIA. I mean, they were buying from him. I don't care what they said. They were, he wanted diamonds for vibranium, and they were giving it to him. So I think that was pretty cool. The fact that Killmonger was just like, all right, I don't need you anymore. Oh, and that scene too, where he like shot his girlfriend. I'm like, he was cold. He was like, you know what? I'll take her out of the equation. Then what are you going to do? So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I did like Andy Serkis's character. He did a great representation of Claw. And I don't know why I always think that Andy Serkis is smaller, but he's a big guy.
Yeah.
But I always, in my mind, I think that he's like some little, tiny, skinny thing because of the characters that he does. But he's a big guy, so I like that.
Yeah. He's like the Black Panther's Joker, to be honest. I mean, in the comics, Claw is like his main nemesis. He's like the one that you associate. The one villain you always associate with Black Panther is Claw, and I agree. I think it was, I agree. It was weak to kill him, but I understand why they did it. So let's see. What else should we talk about?
I understand why they did it too, but yeah, it was still weak. I would have liked to have seen him around a little more because it wasn't like he was overutilized at all. I mean, you barely got to know him in Age of Ultron or Civil War, whichever one it was, both of them, I guess. But yeah, he was definitely underutilized in this. So.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see, what else should we talk about? I agree.
What I did like also the Black Panther's costume, the fact that she got it to fit into the necklace. I was like, oh, it's like Barry Allen's ring. It's just like he has a necklace that the whole thing came out of, and the adaptive technology that it had. Yeah, I love that, and the fact that it, it's not like bullets just bounce off of it. It's like he doesn't even feel anything that hits him in that costume. So
exactly,
that was huge.
One of my favorite scenes is when his sister is showing him the new costume. And the ability to absorb the the punches, bullets, whatever you want to call it, and then send it back to the person who hit him, who hit or shot him. Your take on that?
Delete that. I love the fact that when she told him to hit it and he kicked it across the room and then she got mad. He's like, you told me to hit it. She's like, you can't just come in my lab kicking stuff around like that. I don't know why I thought that was the funniest thing ever. That was her reaction to that. And the sneakers, of course, like, what are those?
Yeah, that's I just loved, and I like that. I like that about the costume because it's unique. In the comic book world, I misspelled that. I like the ability to ability to hold on to whoa, stop, to send back the energy from the punch, I should say, the energy, which is great. So it's basically you get punched, and then after a while he can just release it right back. So that's awesome. So
Yes. Yeah, I like that too. The fact that you could see it with the little purple, indentions, the kinetic movement that was happening in the suit, and just giving that energy back. That was really something. And I like the fact too that this whole movie, it demonstrated that yes, he is a king, yes, he is a ruler, but he's also a warrior too. I mean, even without his Black Panther abilities, he's still like the best fighter that they have. And I guess that's what you have to be. And just I like the fact that it showed just how strong he was, how fast he was. That car chase scene was something else. And ripping the tires off of that car, I'm like, see, that's vibranium claws or no, you'd lose an arm trying that if you didn't
exactly
have the stability for it. So I like the fact that they showed all of that, and just how smart he was. The fact that he picked up on what they were saying when they were speaking in Korean, whichever language it was, and he knew what they were saying. So he's all of these things, and he's regal, and just like he cares about his people, they care about him, and but he wanted to kill Claw so bad. So he was like, so that goes to show you that he has that whole mindset. He's like, look, this man has evaded my father. He's caused a lot of issues, but he was like not bringing him back. He was ready to end him. So I like that about his character too.
I do too. And I just sent you something else. Angela Bassett.
Oh,
yeah. Angela Bassett. Go ahead.
Forrest Whitaker's character, I really did like Forrest Whitaker's character. He was very understated in it, but just the fact that he held this secret for so long, and he had promised the king that he would never reveal it, and T'Challa was like, well, I'm the king now. I can only imagine what that's done, just knowing that, hey, there's this kid out there that belongs as part of our tribe that we left, and your father, the king, killed his only brother. So, I think that just the fact that he lived with that has made him so heavy and so misunderstood that, you could almost just feel the way it just bared down on him. He did such a great performance. And of course, Angela Bassett. I mean, what can you do? I mean, she just played the perfect queen and the perfect mother. And the fact that she was you could see how terrified she was when her son she thought he was dead. And then when they found him and he had, was in almost in a coma, and it just, the way that she reacted, the way that she acted, and plus she's just beautiful. And I don't know, I love Angela Bassett. So she's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm trying to think of her name. There we go. I'm going to send this to you. I loved Angela Bassett. She was the perfect African queen who would have been fantastic as a Storm instead. In the past, MJ. Storm in the past movies, not Allie. That's what I meant to say.
Yes, her being, she had been Storm. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw her with the white hair. I was like, oh, there's our Storm. She had that regal bearing. She was, just not overdoing it. But yeah, as soon as I saw that white hair, I'm like, that is Storm. She could have been the older Storm, I guess. And even though she's older, I think she still looks great, and she just has such a presence in movies. She's a better actress than Halle Berry. And I'm not knocking Halle Berry, but it's just like, this is who we should have had all along as Storm. That would have brought some real, presence to that film, I think, to those three films.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, there's not much we can do about it now, but the fact is she was able to get introduced as T'Challa's mom, which makes it perfect for everything as well. My take on Forrest is I like the fact that he was kind of became father figure for T'Challa. Forrest became father figure for T'Challa after Dad's death. So that's I think that was an interesting take as well. Do you agree with that?
Yes, he did become the father figure, and I think that in my mind, at least, Is probably what hurt even more. That T'Challa looked up to him, that he wanted him to become that figure, and the fact that he was keeping this horrible secret from him. And I think it probably hurt too because T'Challa probably looked at the person that brought him that horrible news, and he cast him in the same light as his father at that point. He's like, you're as bad as he is in my mind. You covered up for him. You're the one that's telling me this horrible news. He probably felt betrayed twice. Once by the fact that his father did this and never told anyone, and then the fact that his uncle, who was now his father figure, has done the same thing to him. So I'm sure in his mind, he was just like, this is a double dose of pain. And, yeah, I can't even imagine what he felt like at that point.
Yeah. Now, what about the destruction of the Black Panther flowers by Killmonger? That's an interesting scenario that could create a potential issue. The fact is there's going to be no Black Panthers anymore. What do you think?
I was thinking about that, and I don't know if they grow again, because when they told him that they're for future kings, he was making it plain that, there's not going to be any kings after me. I'm it. So, there's no need for this. And even if I guess he was saying, hey, even if I die, you guys are on your own because I'm ending this whole processional and everything. But I would think that they would could they grow back? I mean, didn't they come from that meteor that came from the sky or whatever it was that I guess, seeded the earth? So I'm wondering if they will grow back, but that was just painful when he, burned those. So that means that really T'Challa is the last Black Panther if they can't recreate these flowers. With all their technology, or surely they've taken them out of just that field and they had them, kept somewhere else in a viable form, just in case something like this ever happened. I mean, natural disasters, anything can happen. But yeah, I was very surprised when he had them burn the fields like that. So.
And I think it made sense, and it made sense when Freeman said it's typical black ops. You destroy everything, and I guess that's Killmonger's. You destroy everything, and that is. I'm sorry, I beat myself a lot. And that is Killmonger's way of life. So, it just, I guess that made sense in that aspect of it, or his job, rather, I should say, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he was trained to do. You come in, you seize, power when somebody's in transition. That's when you take over. The government is at its weakest. Destroy the infrastructure and, just lay waste to everything and make them be dependent upon you at that point to provide what they need. Everybody has traditions, way of doing things. You come in, you turn that on its head, and look what happens. There's something looking to you like, okay, what do we do now? So yeah. That was very smart.
Yeah, I think so. Now, how about let's talk about the tech rather. How about we discuss the tech, the armored. Whoops! Whoa! Talk about the. How about we? How about we discuss the tech, the armored. Rhino and the VR-esque plane and car. Whoops, not car. So I thought it was pretty cool, and I'll talk about it after you have your take on it, MJ.
Oh, that armored rhino. I wondered what they were doing. I'm like, why does he have rhinos for a pet? Because when they were out in the fields and everything. But that was just, completely unexpected when the rhinos joined the battle. You've got a vibranium plated rhino. It's like, what more do you need to just cause havoc and destruction there? But I love the fact that, when it was charging at the end and she just kind of stood in front of it, and then it kissed her. And it's like, okay, I got to stop you. That was cool. But just their tech overall, the and it wasn't just for weapons. They, the communication. I mean, that was different. The fact that they had the holographic, the 3D communication devices, those beads that obviously were some type of maybe nanotech that healed wounds. Just the stuff that Shuri was creating, her lab there. I'm thinking like, man, Star Labs and whatever else they would, Tony Stark would love to get inside this girl's, little lab space, I bet. But yeah, the weapons. I love the plane. I love the virtual control of the car and the plane. That was like one of my favorite things when, when she was driving and controlling the car, and then when she set the plane up to fly American style, or it was like an Americanized version for him, and then he got in and he's like, oh, okay, it's kind of intuitively he knew what to do. It's like she was creating the Apple products of, high tech and war, so it could be used by anybody. So I loved their technology. That was pretty awesome. And the fact that it was all fueled by vibranium, and just like the look of this underground world where the caverns were, where they didn't use people to mine the vibranium, the sound dampeners to turn the vibranium on and off when they were transporting it at high speed, the transport system, the trains, everything that they created. I'm thinking, man, I don't know how long it took them to create this, but it's just like, it was like its own world down there, which was really cool, I thought.
I agree with that. I liked the VR car and plane, I think, the best. And I just sent you a note. Yes, the note where the beginning scene, T'Challa's trying to find Lupita's character, who turns out to be a spy for Wakanda, and he is overhead in the plane, and he's got the model of all the vans with the bad guys in it. So he's got a model up, and he just picks up one of the vans and looks at it and can like spin around, and then it's like, there's a person right there, and then puts it back in. It was amazing. What do you think?
Yes, no, I loved that. It was like that living clay or whatever it was. Just, he picked it up, looked inside of it. And the plane that they were in, the fact that, you don't even know how she was controlling it, just the movements of her hands and everything. But yeah, I loved that 3D clay, whatever that stuff was, that he could just look inside of it and see he was there and put it back down. It would keep on rolling around with the convoy. I'm like, that is so cool. I don't even know how that would begin to work, but
exactly.
It's just like a lot of fun.
The humor in it, because Marvel's known for their humor. The humor in it was understated and felt appropriate. It did not feel forced like some of the MCU films. So
also now looking at the everything that was done, it makes me really look forward even more to like the next Avengers movie, because now I'm thinking, what kind of shield are they going to create for Captain America when they've got all this technology? His old, vibranium shield seems so antiquated now. So I can't wait to see what they create for him. And Winter Soldier, I was hoping that we could see his arm, so I really want to see what they're going to create for that. So that was really cool.
Yep. Oh, see if you're reading that right now. I think you are.
No, it didn't feel forced at all. The humor was just, that was the only thing about Thor Ragnarok. I think we talked about that. It just felt like they were trying so hard to make it funny and to make Thor funny. This, it just was organic. It wasn't over the top. The little things that did happen were true. I mean, the audience loved it. Everyone laughed. They got the humor. They didn't have to, it wasn't too highbrow, but it wasn't too lowbrow either. It wasn't in your face. It was just, I think the humor, they got that just right.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And yeah, 75 days to Infinity War, and the commercials have been pushing Wakanda's role in it, which I think is great that the directors pretty much predicted the popularity of the film. So I agree with that. It should be really fun to see that, and to and the commercials have been, I'm going to let him read what I just told you guys.
Yeah, no, I think that they're smart right now. They're playing up what's very popular, which is Wakandan, Black Panther, the Dora Milaje. So I think that that's smart of them to play that up, and I hope that it has a large role in the Avengers, the Infinity Wars. And I think that it will, because somehow they've got to get the Winter Soldier back into it. Captain America is going to go to Wakanda. He knows that's where the Winter Soldier is, so I think it's going to have a large role in it. And my thing is, I'm wondering if they even expected what a hit they had on their hands. I mean, I'm wondering if going into this, they knew this was going to be as massive as it is, or maybe they just hoped for it and kind of caught lightning in a bottle. But I mean, this is just this has to be blowing away any of their expectations for what it's doing. And they need to ride this all the way into Infinity War. So, you've got Deadpool coming in between, but this one is going to be directly connected to Infinity War, and I think that they need to make the most out of that.
Right, I agree. I think there is a huge battle scene in Wakanda in Infinity War. There was a scene in the trailer where they're all like running down the hill and they're fighting and stuff like that. So that could be a pretty interesting way of looking at it. And let's talk Winter Soldier. He was in there briefly at the very end, the very last at end credits. End credit scene. It was a way to pave the way to Infinity War, because it looks like he is no longer controllable. All right. So I'm going to let you have your discussion on that when you read that. So that was an interesting.
I hope he's not controllable any longer. Well, first the middle scene I thought was great. The middle end credit scene I thought was great because again when the ambassador said what does the nation of farmers have to offer the rest of the world, just the look that he gave them, I'm like, oh, this is priceless. I thought that was really cool. I loved the speech that he gave. It was very timely. It was on topic. And I thought, this speech could be given in real life politics in so many ways today, but no need to go there. But then the final end credit scene when, the children are looking over somebody and they're like, leave this man alone. And you see him come out. I was like, finally, but then he didn't have his arm. But then sure, he's like, let's go over what you've been learning or what, let's practice some more. So I'm hoping that they have got those controls burned out of him, and that they're going to give him like an even better arm than the one he had before. But I am really looking forward to that. And it seems like he's kind of assimilated into the culture. And I think that's probably because part of it was, in the Civil War, he didn't want to be part of that world anymore. He was tired of fighting. He's like, he just wanted to like blend in and fit in somewhere where everybody wasn't hunting him or looking at him strange. And I think there he was probably like, what? Nobody's bothering me here. I'm not being hunted. I'm not being chased. I'm not having to be told to kill anybody. Nobody's brainwashing me. So hopefully we'll get to see more of what he's been doing during that time that's taken him to the point where he's obviously been accepted by everyone in Wakanda there. So.
I admit I kind of wanted him, when I saw him come out and talk to her, I kind of wanted him and T'Challa's sister to sort of be an item, to have sort of a romantic, feeling towards each other. I thought that'd be kind of cool.
That could have been, yes. I mean, because I would have been fine with that too, because, her sense of humor, his droll, dryness, but he still has a sense of humor too. I could see that, and then hopefully it'll, the Black Widow can be jealous and come in and, try and muscle her way into that too and see what happens. So that would be fun to watch.
Yep. So now with the introduction of the introduction of all these strong female characters, I think it's time for an all-female Avengers. Your thoughts, MJ? Introduction.
You know what? I think that they've been ready for an all-female Avengers. I really think that I keep waiting for somehow for them to sneak in a She-Hulk and some end credit or something. But I think that an all-female Avengers can definitely carry this movie. I mean, look at the presence in this film. I mean, you got the Dora Milaje, you've got just Lupita's character, a spy, his sister. I mean, it really was female-driven if you think about it, just from the standpoint of what all happened in this film. So I think if you add that, a couple of them, you've got She-Hulk, Black Widow, Captain Marvel's coming out. Now that's the one that's really going to have to step the bar up. And I think if handled the right way, that could just set once again, it'll reset everything. And they're going to start saying that, you know what, hey, women are going to the movies. People of color are going to the movies. But we have got to handle it the right way. I think that Black Panther in the wrong hands could have been an absolute mess. I think, and I read somewhere that Sony were offered the rights to Black Panther and they declined it. I'm so glad, because I can only imagine what they would have created if they tried to make a Black Panther movie. So I think, again, it goes to show you got to get the right people. You got to pay them. You have to give them a budget. You can't make a Black Panther movie on $50 million and expect it to do anything. So the fact that they're willing to say, you know what, we trust you. Ryan Coogler has an amazing track record. I think he's got 3 out of 3 for films that are sitting at an A+ score. So that just doesn't happen. So the fact that they're giving him this money, they're putting their muscle of Marvel and Disney, the marketing machine that they are behind that, saying that, hey, we believe in this guy. We're not just doing it just to throw something out there. This is a huge set piece in the next wave of MCU movies that we're going to create in the next phase. That, to me, that says a lot. They had a lot of belief in him, and it paid off tenfold, I'm sure, bigger than anything they would have ever expected. And you know what? I'm betting next weekend this will happen again.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I agree. I'm going to send you that one too about Sony having a Venom trailer without Venom in it, even a tease. Just why do you do that? Why do you do that?
The Venom trailer. I had to watch it twice to see the Venom in the little canister. I'm like, oh, there it is.
I know. I
mean, what they're going to do with that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you just even one little scene of Venom of Tom Hardy as Venom could have been neat. Could have been interesting, is what I should say. Interesting. So, just one little scene. That's it.
just a teaser of him as Venom. Turning around to the CGI tongue hanging out and everything. I think it would have been cool. But I've heard now that they are saying they're going to put Spider-Man in it. Did you hear that? That they're going to have Tom Holland in it, at least make an appearance, maybe.
Peter Parker.
I just don't think you can do a Venom movie without that. To me, that's just a horror movie. It's weird.
Peter Parker only.
Peter Parker only. Okay.
Yeah. So what from what I heard, so anything could happen. I don't know. Anything else? Let me see. I feel like we're missing something. I feel like we are missing something, but I don't know what it is. So let's do final thoughts and call it a day. So I'll let you go first. Obviously, MJ, because this has been really kind of bizarre today.
Final thoughts. This is an A+ movie. This is a big budget movie. This is one that deserves to be seen on the big screen. Visually, it's going to take your breath away. I think it was beautiful. The acting was amazing. It was not overdone. It was subtle. The characters were characters that you can relate to. The action sequences are what action sequences should be. The special effects were amazing. And I think it's important what it's setting up. And I think it's good too, just to send this message out to Hollywood to say, hey, you know what? We took a chance and we're getting rewarded. So maybe they'll take more chances. But overall, Black Panther to me is a must see. I can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. I'm already planning, to stay home one day and just watch it over and over again. So
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question. Where does it rank in your listing of MCU movies? And then I'll do my final thoughts. Movies.
Oh goodness. Well, you know what my favorite is. So, and I have to say, I watched it very closely, and then last night I got to watch Winter Soldier again. I think that this one has finally toppled Winter Soldier for me, just because, I love a character-driven movie, but I want the action mixed in with it too. And I think that this one gave me the best of both of those worlds, which so far I'd really only gotten from Winter Soldier. So I'm going to say this one to me just vaulted to the top of the food chain.
Yeah, I agree with that. I need to see it again but I think it's one on mine, or at least top three. Is number one on mine. Let me change that here real quick. Mine. There we go. So,
it's definitely top three, and I will see it again in the theaters, just because I think there was a lot going on with it, and now that I've seen it once, I can sit back and really just kind of take things in and start to pick it apart and see a little better. But yeah, it's definitely easily in the top three, and like I said, I think it's right up there with 1 and 2, switching back and forth with Winter Soldier for me.
So that's good. My final thought is I absolutely adore the film as well. I think my wife and kids will love it as well, particularly Dawn. She said she really wants to see it, so we're going to try to get out and see it next weekend. So that'll be great, because I don't want to go this weekend because I think it's going to be still crazy busy, and that's just the way it is. But absolutely, characters great, sets great, costumes great. Villains great. Villains great. Let's see, characters sets great, villains great. Tech great. Just a phenom for me. So, yeah. So,
yes, definitely.
I agree with you. Everyone should go see it in the movie theater. So I think that's all we're going to do. We have time for right now, because this has been an unusual circumstance. We're wrapping up now till next month. We'll figure out what's going on. We'll figure out tech issues later. So, thanks, MJ, for chilling out with me talking the Panther. Wakanda forever. So we'll figure out our tech issues. Hopefully we won't have it anymore.
Oh my goodness, these tech issues. Where is Shuri when I need her? I just want to be able to do this and talk to you in my hand. Oh,
absolutely.
Goodness.
So Wakanda forever.
Okay.
Wakanda forever, man. Come on.
My pleasure. Yeah, I could talk about that movie forever, so that was good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So next week, I'm going to try this with Jerry. Hopefully, we won't have the issues that we had. We're going to do our top 10, I think, least couples in movies and TVs and books that don't have chemistry. Thank you, MJ, for everything. Take care. Have a great time. Go see Black Panther. And just one last word. I'm just going to say any last words, MJ? So
Go see it. Those are my last words. I think everybody who sees this should go see it. I've been tweeting about it. Yeah, I want this to make all the money. So, and I think that Marvel should just open their checkbooks and give Ryan Coogler whatever it is that he wants to make the sequel, and don't change anything. Just turn a blind eye and just say, "Here you go, have at it."
I agree. Swarm, Luke Cage in next film. Wait.
Yes, that's what they need. Oh gosh, Luke Cage on the big screen would be amazing. Yeah, Storm would be perfect. They got to get the X-Men in there now. They can. So I don't see why they need to pull the trigger on that and start filming some new scenes and throw some of the X-Men in there. But they need the right Storm, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, Luke Cage would be awesome in there.
Even the Hunter as bad guy, I think would be freaking awesome.
And speaking of Luke Cage, don't forget Jessica Jones starts in a couple more weeks, the next season. So, and I've heard that I think Typhoid Mary is going to be the big bad in that one.
Ooh,
so yeah, so awesome. That should be really good.
Yeah. So.
Oh yes, I'm still waiting for Kraven the Hunter to show up, because now I just think they could really, really do a great job with Kraven, And one last thing too, I wonder how bad DC's quaking in their boots this weekend, because they're going to have to completely I don't know what they're going to need to do to compete with this. They've got to abandon the big three other than Wonder Woman, and they're going to have to go with a new character and just completely wipe the slate clean and just try to rebrand and start over again, because there is nothing they've got that's going to compete with this. So.
Absolutely, I agree with that. So, on that note, I think I'm going to say farewell. Thank you, MJ, for hanging out, and we'll try to work this out next time, and we'll see you all next week. So stay tuned. Dylan knows we'll be back next week with Jerry. Don't know which day it'll be, but we'll work it out, and then hopefully we'll work out our issues as well. Hopefully for March, maybe March will be our special would be better for us. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I need an update here and there. We'll see what happens. So again, thank you, MJ. I will see you later. Okay.
All right.